Much.
This past week's HHS layoffs led to grim but familiar scenes in Washington. Federal workers waited in line for hours to figure out if they still had jobs, many finding out when their ID badges didn't let them in. Others came to collect their belongings after being fired via email on the way to the office. And some former HHS employees headed to the Capitol to confront lawmakers about the cuts. Here's how one Republican senator responded.
Hi, I was a worker at HHS. I was fired illegally on February 14th. There are many people who are not getting social service programs, especially people with disabilities. Are you going to do anything to stop what's happening?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved it?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved it.
Dude,
wow.
Yeah,
that's great to hear. Why did I deserve it?
Because you seem like a clown.
Joining me now, Mac Schroeder, the man you just saw being insulted in that video. He was fired from his position with the Department of Health and Human Services. And Anthony Lee, an FDA employee appearing in his personal capacity. He is a union president for National Treasury Employees Union, Chapter 282. Gentlemen, thank you both very much for coming to the Sunday show. Mac, I mean, it's one thing to see that video, as I did earlier in the week. It's another to watch that and listen to that with you sitting right here. Please tell me your reaction as this senator was calling you a clown.
Yeah, thanks for asking the question, Jonathan. I really just felt more surprised and discouraged that this was his answer to the question that I had asked him. You know, I wasn't asking, what are you going to do to help me get my job back? What are you going to do to help me get reinstated? I was simply asking, what are you going to do when many people in your state, particularly people with disabilities, lose access to the social services that they are paying taxpayer dollars for? And his answer was just as you saw. So I was mostly, just really upset that that was, how he feels about his constituents, and that was the only response he had as far as just challenging him on a lot of these cuts.
Did you get similar responses from other senators in your visits on the Hill, or is he the only one behaving badly?
He was the only person who responded in that way. Many senators on both sides of the aisle were very supportive of the work we were doing. They felt that many of the firings were unjust. They're upset about their constituents losing social services. One senator we spoke with, Senator Langford of Oklahoma, listened really intently to many of the stories that fired federal workers had to share, as well as senators like Angus King. So we really got support from both sides of the aisle, and this was a surprise to see someone respond like that.
Anthony, what are you hearing from union members about these cuts?
Union members and FDA employees particularly are feeling demoralized, they're feeling disrespected, and that they're not being treated with dignity and respect as public servants. As you mentioned, many found out just by coming to work to do the job of protecting and promoting the public's health that their badges didn't work, and security officers told them, you'll probably need to check your email because you've been fired. And that was the first that a number of employees found out that they could no longer do the work that they've been doing for decades for some people, including veterans who were also fired under this reduction in force.
Mm-hmm. And to be clear, you're still gainfully employed.
Yes, I am.
And you've been, from what I understand, 23 years in public service.
Yes.
How did it make you feel to see that video and see an elected member of Congress, especially the United States Senate, speak to a fellow public servant in that way?
Right, it makes me sick to my stomach, really, and public servants, all public servants, deserve to be treated better than that.
Mac, as I said to the former HHS secretary, the current HHS secretary said that, oh yeah, 20% of the people we're letting go will be reinstated. Is that the way to run an agency? And do you hope to be among the 20% that gets reinstated?
Yeah, so one of my colleagues was actually, one of those people who was reinstated, and I spoke with him today, and I was asking, are you glad that you're able to support, the work that you were doing for the past 25 years? And he was telling me that, even during the short term that he's able to work, his role was to really get grants out the door for programs that support older adults and people with disabilities. So we're talking programs like Meals on Wheels and independent living for people with disabilities. And even in the short term, if these people are still getting RIFed and let go in 60 days, you're not going to be able to sustain that work after a 2-month period. So just yesterday, Meals on Wheels announced that they're at risk of losing funding for almost 400,000 meals for people. So if you don't have anybody who's in the position long-term to make sure funding that's appropriated by Congress is going to the grantees that they're supposed to be going to, what is going to happen to all those programs? And that's where I really feel concerned about this.
And Anthony, we're out of time because of the breaking news with the markets, but I'm going to end with you because I know both of you were at the hands-off protests that were here in Washington, but around the country yesterday. How hopeful are you that we're going to see a turnaround? And what do you take from, just say, leave aside yesterday's protests, but what seems to be happening at town halls across the country, people rising up and not only speaking out in favor of our democracy, but in favor of public servants like you and Mac?
I'm encouraged by it. Thousands of employees coming together across the country to stand up for public services is extremely important, and that's the only way that we're going to make any kind of leeway. At FDA, I guess I would just also mention that these cuts are impacting the public and can cause harm. Like our specialists that help to do inspections overseas, inspections and investigations, those trip coordinators, they were terminated. Our health communication specialists who man the hotline if someone calls for a product that may have contained a harmful ingredient to start possibly a recall, those people were also fired. So these cuts were not done in a way that was smart or thoughtful, and I'm very concerned that it could cause harm to the public.
Well, Anthony Lee, Max Schroeder, I want to thank you for a couple of things. One, for being here and coming on the Sunday show, but also thank you very much for your public service and your commitment to what you do for all of us to keep us healthy and safe. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.